The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this March the 11th, 2023. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped and Manscaped.com. Use promo code 1420SCAPED at manscaped.com and save yourself 20% and get yourself free shipping on all your men's personal grooming products today. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. A 9:15 start Mountain Central Time today, or Mountain Standard Time, not Mountain Central. That doesn't make any sense, does it? A little later start today, but thank you very much for people watching on Facebook Live. It's greatly appreciated. Try to get these out. Going to get a more centralized schedule going on. Everything else, it's just a lot going on here, like we say every day of the when we get these things going. But anyways, the World Baseball Classic, it got going earlier on this week in the Netherlands. You had my one of my favorite all-time players, Didi Gregorius, going up. Had a great tournament there. They beat Cuba on Tuesday night with the World Baseball Classic. It got rolling. It gets rolling here in North America today. The United States plays. They play today against Great Britain, I believe it is. Won't be a very much televised game, but it's an odd tournament. It's getting great reviews. The baseball's been great so far. A lot of fun to watch. There's been a lot of great games, some questionable calls, and the fan bases have been eating it up overseas, and it's been a great tournament so far. When it comes to North America, we'll see how it's going to go. The Mexico-U.S. game is sold out tomorrow night in Phoenix, Arizona at Chase Field, but we'll get into that in a second. The games overseas, like I said, the game in Japan last night, well, I don't know if it's in Japan, but it had a record 46% of the people, all TVs in Japan, were watching this game, and it shows you the popularity of the game of baseball overseas and over there. It's something to behold that gets that many eyeballs on it, and over here you don't know how many eyeballs it's going to get. The games in Miami are basically sold out. You have Venezuela, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico in that pool playing there, and there's thousands of people flocking to Miami to watch those games. So that's an interesting to see that. But that's a lot. There's only the one game over in Arizona that sold out so far, and it kind of is a little bit disturbing in my eyes because you have a lot of people who do go to Arizona to watch spring training games, but they can't be bothered to go and watch a game at Chase Field to watch some of the greatest baseball players playing the game today with that American team, which is absolutely stacked. And you wonder what the problem is over in Arizona that people aren't flocking and buying tickets to go watch these games. I mean, the Great Britain Canada rivalries with baseball probably isn't the biggest thing going, so that might be a bit of the problem. Mexico obviously is right there, and it's not a far drive for the Mexican fan base to get there, but it's got to be a little disturbing for people in the baseball world to think that they can just put anything out on the field and people are going to come and watch. And it's a thing that I think that they're starting to overlook a little bit, and not having a situation where it's the old boys club kind of thinking we can just do whatever we want. People will watch baseball because we put it on, and that's definitely not the case here with the World Baseball Classic. It started in 2006 was the first time. I think this is the fifth time around for this tournament. The 2006 team with some guy named Jeter on the team, and A-Rod was on that team, and they had a lot of great players. Griffey was on that team, and everybody else. They finished, I think, in 8th place in that tournament that year. So that the tournament hasn't gotten off to the greatest start in North America and the like. It doesn't get the enthusiasm, which is odd. That you usually when you put a USA thing on TV, people go to watch. You look at the World Cup teams and the World Cup that was last November, even here in Canada, how Canada had the World Cup team there for the first time in 30 whatever years. There were a lot of people watching that tournament, those soccer matches. I mean, I tuned in, and I'm not a soccer guy by any means, but I was tuned in 100% invested in those games and watching it and enjoying it. And usually when you have an international tournament that happens like this, people will flock to it no matter what. And Americans especially, they really tend to really do the U.S. the worst chant in all the sports, but they really tend to to flock to these tournaments and really enjoy them and everything else, and the national pride that comes with it. You wonder why the World Baseball Classic doesn't have that, because baseball is supposed to be the national pastime in the United States, and it's not. You look at these other countries that are hosting games right now, and it's absolutely electric in the stadiums. The game last night with I think it was Chinese Taipei, and it was unbelievable. The enthusiasm, the chants in the crowd, the enthusiasm from the players who after a home run, and it's every team that has this. And you get to North American teams like the United States and Canada, it's still the old boys club that are running these teams, and it's the unwritten rules of baseball that you can't cheer too much and you can't show up your opponent and this and that and everything else. And we've talked about this in the past, how I used to be the 2015 bat flip game, how I was a little bit down on that when it first happened, but the enthusiasm takes over, and it's refreshing to watch these guys really get into the games, and the fans getting into it and not sitting on their hands. As when you go to a baseball game here in North America, there isn't the chance and the happy and all the like. It's just different. It's not any better. It's just different, and it's not the enthusiasm and getting people to go to games and getting younger people involved in games. It's the old boys club just saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. This is how we do things around here. This is the way the game's played here. You got to respect your opponent. You got to respect the game. It's not like these guys are showing anybody up. They're showing enthusiasm, and they're happy that they accomplished something. Like when you hit a home run, it's hard to do. Like it's hard to do, and you should be able to be happy about that. And the crowd gets emotional, and then you get more emotional and everything else. Whereas here in North America, the game is just a lot different, and it's odd that it hasn't picked up in the way other sports have. Like I said, like to watch the World Cup, the chanting and the fans and everything else, and then when you go to MLS games, the same thing. The chants and all of it. It's refreshing for a sports fan that the game has grown. Another thing that the North America has, and why Major League Baseball doesn't understand this, and why I'm sitting here 14:20 in the morning in Lethbridge, Alberta, and how I can see this out of the corner of my eye. You have a Sunday night baseball game that won't start until 10 o'clock on the East Coast between Mexico and the United States. Who and the hell is watching that on the East Coast at a 10 o'clock start at 7 o'clock local time, 8 o'clock here? I'll barely watch, and I'm a baseball dork. A Sunday night game, that game should be at 4 in the afternoon. Get people to watch that. I know there's NCAA brackets and everything else going on, but get people to watch the game. If you want to grow your game in North America, which it's failing and which you're trying to do with the rule changes and everything else, and if baseball can't see this, they're bound to fail. They are bound to fail in epic proportions. They have an instant rivalry with Mexico and the United States. You have a traveling all-star team of American players getting ready to go, and you're going to have nobody watching this game. You're going to have the odd baseball dork, but if it starts at 10 o'clock Eastern, there is no way people are staying up and watching that. And where is your population in the United States? It does not make any sense to me why they would have that game at that time and say, yep, people are going to watch. No, they're not. No, they're not. And then the next night, you have Canada versus the United States at the same time. Who's staying up to watch that? Who's staying up that late to watch that game when baseball isn't the most popular thing in Canada? There's already hockey games at night. There's everything else going on at night. Have that game at 5 o'clock. Have that game at 6 o'clock Eastern time, so people on the East Coast can at least given the chance to watch it. Even if just a chance to watch the game, because it's in front of their eyeballs. People go to bed early. That's the facts of it. Why you would have that game that late at night, it's telling me that you don't want to grow the game. You don't want things to progress. All you're worried about is your West Coast sponsors making sure that they're paying whatever premiums that they got for this tournament, and whatever channel it's on. Who even knows? There's games today I'll watch because I'm a baseball dork, but I don't see things being advertised here in Canada, and I have it on the MLB network all the time. And there's a game on right now, Panama and Italy. I think it's a repeat from yesterday. But you just wonder where the thought process is on this tournament, and how it can grow and how it hasn't grown. And if you asked to a man who won the last one, yes, we had the COVID situation where the tournament couldn't be played since 2017. But to a man, I'll bet you couldn't, if you're not a baseball dork like myself, you couldn't tell. There's people who could not tell you who won the last last World Baseball Classic. To a man. There are people who have no idea it was the United States, by the way. But and there's a and then the 2016, like I said, they failed quite miserably, so that didn't help the tournament over here to get any kind of a pickup. So then on it goes, and then it happened. Japan won the first two, and I think the Dominican won the last one. And like I said, the U.S. won, or Dominican won two ago. Then the U.S. won this one. But to a man, people don't care about this tournament, and it's sad because it's a traveling actual All Star tournament of great players from across the world that are involved in this. And there's so many players, and people don't know who these guys are in North America. Like there are people traveling from all over everywhere to go to games in Miami because they follow their team. It's front page news down there. The Dominican has their press corps everywhere. It barely makes page five in USA Today or whatever website or whatever you're watching it on. It's crazy how the US and baseball, Major League Baseball, just does not do any kind of promoting to get this thing in front of eyeballs. It should be their marquee event, and it's just not. There was a few years back the NFL was called the No Fun League because the penalties you couldn't celebrate and the like. So you wonder why the Major League Baseball doesn't see the enthusiasm that these crowds have and the enthusiasm that these players have, and try to urge that a little bit towards these players and towards the fan bases and towards franchises, because people don't watch baseball because they think it's boring. You watch these games that are on right now, it's unbelievable how great they are because there's a sense of national pride. There's a sense of togetherness. There's a whole thing with these games that are being played overseas. You watch the games tomorrow. The Mexican crowd will be crazy for those who are going to watch it, but it's not till 10 o'clock Eastern. So who's watching the game that late at night? The World Baseball Classic is it's set up so wonderfully to be such a great event for baseball fans and to draw in some other people, and they just find a way every time to not do it. And like having games, the U.S. and Mexico should be at a 5 o'clock in the afternoon on TV, maybe 8 o'clock Eastern. Maybe that's the thing. They're used to watching games a little bit later, but to have a game not start till 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast, who's watching it? Your main population base is on the East Coast. Who's watching that game tomorrow night? It does not make any sense to me how they do that. Like I said, you look at the World Cup of soccer. Like I'm not comparing how big soccer is compared to how big baseball can be because it's not comparable. And how the World Cup is an international event. And the World Cup of baseball or the baseball the championship isn't everyone going to be the same. It's not. But how they don't promote the game and how they don't find ways to get it to the people, I'll never understand it. Having your marquee event is the World Series still, but having a marquee event like this, and the rules are different, and I get it. They're going way back to the old days where you're still allowed to, where there's no pitch clock and everything else. So it's odd that baseball doesn't see that in their own eyes and doesn't make this a thing where they can make this event a great event for baseball fans and to grow the game a little bit and have some fun watching it. You don't know when the games are on. And that's an absolute shame that people don't know when the games are on, and people who could just flip on a TV and not have to look here and there and everywhere else and try to find it. I don't understand why baseball continues to bite themselves in the foot because you're not as big as you once thought you were. You're not even as big as you once were. Like it's not even close how far down the totem pole that you've actually fallen. And it's sad to see that they have this event that they could do some damage with, and nobody will be able to watch it in North America. The game started late over here. I understand the time zone difference when you go overseas. I get that. But when you have a chance to have games of a marquee event at a certain time of day on a Sunday, why put it on at 10 o'clock at night? Then why have, and then the North American teams, which is Canada, not, well, Mexico's North American too, but when you have Canada and the United States playing once again at 10 o'clock on a Monday night, who's staying up to watch that? Who's watching that game? 8 o'clock. If you're a sports fan on 8 o'clock on Monday, there's probably a hockey game on or something else. You aren't even going to even bother. Like I know I have 3 or 4 TVs down here, Yankee Tavern North, so I'll be able to watch it. But a lot of people don't have that, and they're going to tune into a hockey game that they think matters. They aren't going to watch a baseball game and get people enthused in it. They're just not. And it's too bad that that's the way it's all turned out. It's insane to me that the way that's gone. Anyways, there's my rant for the day. I went a little bit long. I get a little bit revved up when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the world, like I'm happy to see it going on. I'm going to be tuning in today and tomorrow and everything else to watch the games that are over here in North America. There's a lot of people that do watch it. There's a lot of people who do get enthused about it. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out and how the ratings go here in North America to watch these games and how the crowds are. You'll see like tomorrow you'll see the Mexican crowds. Their fan base will be very, very enthused, and you'll see how the American fans will be sitting on their hands because it's the old boys club and you can't have fun. Right. This is how we do things. You got to respect the game, and on it goes. And it's too bad that we haven't changed a little bit with the way society sees it and the way people in North America see the great game of baseball, because it has so much potential, and we just find a way to kick it down and make sure people don't have fun and don't watch it. It's odd to me, but it should be fun on a baseball scale. I'll watch the Brewers and Royals game on a Saturday afternoon, anyways. But this one will be a little more enthusiasm and games that actually matter and standings matter and pitch counts and everything else. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all turns out. Anyways, I got thanks to everybody for watching this morning on Facebook Live, and then we'll make sure we get these out more regular basis. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click on the button later on today. Get on there. All our videos go up on there later on. Listen to our shows on all the podcast stations where you guys have been. Tell people about the show, like always. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, as you can see on the screen here, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're everything else. But thanks for everything that's been going on. Going to have a little clip from the show I did on, I guess it was on Thursday night from my tour stop at Yankee Stadium. I gave my 2 cents of everything going on for our Major League Baseball tour that we've been doing for a week now. I got an interview tomorrow with a guy from Houston, so that one should be interesting to see how that pans out, because like I said, I have forgiven, but I will never forget. I'm going to try to steer away from that conversation of the 2017 cheating and banging of the drums and the whole bit. So I'll trash cans. They weren't even drums. I'll try to steer away from that, but that should be a fun one tomorrow. And then I got 3 or 4 more already in the books to get going, so we'll get caught back up on those. So make sure you guys listen to those. Dave will be back on Monday night, back in the 1420 Sports Bar to get that going again. Anyways, thanks for listening to the show. Here's the clip coming up from Yankee Stadium. Make sure you guys talk to each other about the show and everything else. And remember, as always, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have a good Saturday, folks. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. So come back. So I go to this tour, and it was a good tour. Like, it was fun. It was good. It was a knowledgeable little thing. I think everybody who goes to Yankee Stadium for the first time, they should go to it. You see some inside, outside things. You see some different things, and you get to go to the museum, Monument Park. I sat in the Yankees dugout, and I actually I took my first selfie ever in the dugout at Yankee Stadium, at the Yankees dugout. I never sent it. I never published it because it looked ridiculous. I looked really bad, so I never sent that out there. I think I deleted it not that many years ago. Actually, it stayed on my phone for quite some time on the iCloud or whatever it's called. But so I went on the tour. It was good. As we're doing the tour, the younger kid, he was telling us that he got a World Series ring from 2009, which is, that not that long before, because I was 2013 when I was there. And so he's answered a bunch of questions about Yankee Stadium and everything else, and the new place and the old place and everything else. And one of the other guys on the tour that was with us, he says something along the lines of, are the dimensions the same in the ballpark? And this tour guide, he says, well, yeah, it's 90 feet between the bases. And I'm like, holy shit, kid. Like, I didn't say anything out loud, but I was like, yeah, man, like this is kind of the way it actually goes. And this is the way it all turns out. Yeah, man, we know that it's 90 feet, but like, are the dimensions the same? The fences, the foul territory, is that all the same? And he didn't really know. But then one guy that was also on the tour, he goes, yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same deal here. So he kind of had an idea what we were talking about. So, okay, I misunderstood. So it was a great tour. Went to the museum. If you get a chance to go in the museum, it's fantastic. They have the Don Larson, the Yogi Berra pitch trajectory for the very last pitch of the perfect game that he threw in the World Series. So that's there, and it's filled with baseballs. Thurman Munson's lockers inside there. So make sure if you go, you get to go in there.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.